have a very short but a very specific session, because this is somewhere where almost all the students get stuck. That is in the second year, where they have to choose specialization. Also, I would say that, just one moment. Also, I would say that many a times some colleges and university, they also discontinue few optionals because many of the students are not, not interested to take a particular optional. So the reason is because children themselves do not know which optional they should go for. Now, coming to the traditional optionals that we have in our universities and colleges, basically they are 4 to 5 optionals. The most common one is clinical, second is organizational behavior, third is counseling psychology, fourth is child psychology, or you can say development psychology, that is the fourth. And the fifth one that is coming up these days, and it has become little it's like little bit new, that is mostly applied psychology. So under applied psychology, again, you study these courses in macro versions, and some of them in micro versions. So let's say you would have, let's say, about 40% of clinical psychology, and let's say about 20% of counseling, and then probably one subtopic or one topic of other types of psychology. But still, the most common ones, I think, almost all over India right now would be clinical, counseling, and organizational psychology. Now, also educational psychology is a very prominent field. That also is there probably in some colleges and some universities in the west, in the western side of India, that is in Maharashtra, Gujarat, those sides. Okay. Now, today, I would just want to clarify what is the purpose of this entire session today. It is to help you to decide what specialization you want to take. So basically, I am not going to speak in favor of any of the specialization, but I would just clear it before you, which you want to take, which your interest is the priority here. So if somebody asks what is the difference between clinical psychology and counseling psychology, my answer would be your preference is the difference. Okay, so if whatever is your preference, that is how it is going to distinguish you from choosing a particular field. So I have just prepared this brief, PowerPoint presentation for you all, so it's easy to speak while we look along the options. Also, I have Swapnil ji has also helped me a bit in this, so thanks to him. So, okay, we'll just start generally as to what psychology offers. I assume that each one who has joined today in this meeting is acquainted with the field of psychology, probably as a student or probably as a potential student who's going to take up the course, take up psychology in the near future, or probably who is already related to psychology in some way as a faculty or let's say as a counselor, but has not taken any specialized course for it. Okay, so I assume that each and every one of you is some way related to psychology and is acquainted with the field. But why I'm saying this is because I do not want to start with psychology as the study of human behavior. I don't want to start with that. I assume that you know this. So let's just try to understand where all psychology is used. So we'll go to the next slide. Yes. So what are our career opportunities in psychology? So where all we can use psychology? We can use it in the clinical field. We can use it in counseling. We can use it generally. Generally from here, generally means, let's say you are asked to give some conduct some seminar. You are asked to talk about that topic in some place. That is how it is general. So basically you have a hold of almost all the small, all the aspects, like let's say you have some command over memory also, perception also, personality also, something about social psychology also. So that is general. Then again, developmental. So developmental is about the lifespan psychology. It is about how, from, let's say, from infancy till adulthood, till late adulthood, that is developmental. School is where we have school psychologists these days, where they monitor the growth and development of the children, the emotional and the other, intellectual problems, difficulties that children face. Then educational, purely improving the, you can say, improving the how a child actually learns better. Okay, so improving those aspects of the child, helping him to learn better, study better, to overcome the challenges that he faces. Let's say the anxiety he faces before an exam, or let's say he is being affected by some issues at home, but that is being reflected in his grades or marks. So that is all educational. Then social and personality. So this is all about your what kind of a person you are, how things have, how things have shaped up, and how things around you have affected you, etc. Then cognitive, it's all about the studying the memory. And let's say suppose somebody wants to know what all techniques can be used in an organization, or let's say in a school, so that children are able to remember better. Let's say you are somebody who has done a lot of study or research in cognitive field. So you can tell them that, ma'am, whenever you're writing on the board, please don't write paragraph wise, but write point wise. Please try to draw pictures of whatever you want children to remember for longer time. Let's say the children encounter an misunderstood word. You make this a practice for them to look it up in the dictionary, make a sentence out of it, or use that word at least 5 times a day, and they'll be able to remember this word better. So this you can do only when you have a hold on the different chapters that studied under cognitive psychology. Then coming to industrial and organization. So this you must have heard, it's very common, all the HR fields and all those people who, do the performance appraisal and assessments and, motivation, job satisfaction, performance improvement, etc. They all come under industrial and organizational. Then biological and experimental. Some psychologists, they are very much interested to study what part of the brain is responsible for what kind of reaction, what part of the brain is related to happiness, what part, let's say, of the human body, or let's say any part of the limbic system or any part of the spinal cord is related with reflex action, is related with managing stress, or let's say about the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system. So all of this come under the biological and experimental. And lastly, other areas. So now we have a lot of fields that are merging with psychology. Let's say psychonomics. So what is psychonomics? Psychonomics is trying to understand the spending and the investment behavior of the individuals. Why do people invest in a certain kind of article and why not in other? Now, people will invest in buying games, okay, but they will not invest in buying an eye, or let's say screen guard, just to protect the harmful rays of the phone that affects your eyes. They'll not be interested in investing in that, but they'll be interested to invest in some app or some game, etc. So why does this happen? Okay, so when we are trying to study the psychological variables that affect investment and that affect your spending behavior, expenditure, etc. Then similarly, now you have neuropsychology, and again you have so many different types: forensic psychology, sports psychology. These are all the other areas. These are the merger of many areas into the field of psychology. Okay, so these were just roughly I want to tell you, because if somebody has told you that you can only go for 3 to 4 fields, it's not like that. There's a huge field out there, and if you have studied psychology, or if you are planning to pursue psychology, then it's a very good decision that you have taken. Okay, so these are few of the career opportunities. We'll go to the next slide. Yes, so places where you will find psychologists, you will find them in universities, colleges, schools, hospitals, clinics, business, in consulting firms, in organizations, even in factories. You will find them. You'll find them in government. You'll find them in military. You will find them in criminal and justice system. You will find them in primary and secondary schools. You will find them also in de-addiction camps. You will also find them in banks. You will also find them in um, you'll also find them, let's say, I don't know if many of you know. I hope all of you know what an NGO is. So you'll find them not only an NGO which is only working for children, but many a times you also will find them in NGOs which is working for elderly, which is working for people who want to migrate outside, who's also working in the field of rescuing children, in the field of counseling children. Okay, so all these places you'll find psychologists. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. Yes. So what are the career areas in psychology? This we'll just go through it generally, and then at the end I'll come to those three broad topics specifically. Okay, so you will find them in human services. Okay, you will find them in administrative roles also. You will find them in research. You will find them in education. You will find them in again human resources, and the humanitarian side of management, and also you'll find them in business and industry. So this is basically what I had already spoken in the previous slide. It was just to put them into better way. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. Yes. So now these are, once you have a psychology degree, here by degree I mean could be a bachelor degree of 3 years or could be a postgraduate degree of 2 years. Okay. So again, all of you might have heard that they are going to, the new educational policy is going to scrape off the MPhil degree, but then what are they going to replace it with? That is not yet clear. So we are not going into that. I'm just talking about here a psychology major here means +3, or you can say the degree arts, that is BA in psychology or BSc in psychology, which is of 3 years. So once you have done that, so you can be a counselor, you can be a social worker, you can be a teacher, you can be an HR, you can be a college faculty professor, you can be an administrator. Okay, you can be you can also have you can also use this knowledge in the field of law also. Very, very useful. If you would have ever seen some movies, if there are some, you will see that there are some cases where the person, he or she tries to put forward his view that I did this because I was in a depressed condition, or I did this because I was not in a good state of mind. And then this case is referred to a psychologist to know whether the person who's saying that is the truth or not. Okay, so this has got immense, utility in the field of law also. And then you can also work in the field of substance abuse. You can work in a psychiatric clinic as well, but yes, you cannot be a psychiatrist since that needs a medical MBBS degree. But yes, you can work there as a counselor, as a psychologist. You can carry out the test. You can carry out the other research things that they'll give you to do. You can do that, and then you can work in school, etc. Okay. So this was all about where all you can use psychology. Now, next we'll go to the next slide. Yes, so these are the psychology careers. In fact, when this will be actually uploaded, you can just read it. I have just spoken about all of it. I have just given it so that if anybody misses out anything, they can go through it. We can directly go to the actual slides now. Yes, so these are some psychology related jobs which are very much in demand now. So you must have heard something about something called as expressive therapy. Please understand, nowadays psychotherapy is gaining a lot of importance both among the psychologists, clinical psychologists, as well as counselors. And among that, there is a therapy known as expressive therapy. Now that is an umbrella term. Under that you get therapies like art therapy, dance therapy, music therapy, play therapy. Also, you can have those performance based things. Okay, like if you want to actually make a story and you want to vent out all your whatever is there inside, you want to vent it out through a story, through a poem, So there is journaling therapy. There is so many of these things. Okay, so those therapists are a lot in demand these days. Then forensic or criminal psychologist, again very much in demand. Counselor, consumer psychologist, yes. What is, again, how is consumer psychologist different from organizational psychology? There's a very small difference. Difference is in organizational behavior, or when you're an organizational psychologist, you work with the employees of that organization and you try to motivate them, you try to increase their productivity, you try to match the best person with the best job. You are basically trying to grow that organization with by you can say sharpening the human resource of that organization. But in consumer psychologist, you are specifically trying to understand the behavior of the consumer. Let's say I'll give you an example. Like since Swapnilji introduced me earlier, and all of you know that I work as a blog development officer. That is a post where we have to work with a lot of self-help groups, women self-help groups. So here we had to conduct a rural heart. Okay, so rural heart is basically where you have these terracotta products, you have those acrylic work, and you have those you can say ceramic products, etc. So when we had to put up the stalls, as a consumer, how would a consumer psychologist would think, and how, let's say, how would a organizational psychologist would think? An organizational psychologist would think as in, how would all the employees or all the members of that self-help group come together, work together, and build the best products that could be put out on sale for that heart. But how would a consumer psychologist think here is, what can I ask the self-help groups to make, of what size, of what quality, of what price, that a consumer will buy it easily. So he'll sit and he'll think like this, that let's say my rural heart is placed in not a very urban area, but a rural area. So my customers are not very urbanized, spenders or people who spend a lot. So they will like things which are very brightly colored, or let's say they would get attracted to things that is not very high on price. So anything from 50 to 500 would sell much more than anything which is from 600 and beyond. So I have to ask my self-help group to make such kind of things, let's say for Diwali, like a diya, or like, let's say, an Akash Kandil or something, which is not that exorbitant that people cannot buy it. This is what a consumer psychologist would think. Whereas an organizational psychologist would think, whatever they make, but they should be in sound health and sound mind. They should enjoy the work. They should get maximum job satisfaction. The person who can make the diya, I should find somebody who enjoys making diya, and I should find somebody who enjoys coloring the diya, right? So this is what is the difference between both. Then school psychologist, again, these people, they would want to find out if the child is getting, they just want the child to do well in studies. They want the child to grow up as somebody who is not only physically healthy, but also emotionally and mentally healthy. If there's something where that is affecting the child, that is making the child upset, making the child anxious, they would want to dig into that and also talk to the child regarding this. Okay, so this is what a school psychologist would do. Sometimes a child is very much confused as to which language should he choose for his um, 9th and 10th. So I think this is a curriculum just like in NCERT. It would be a curriculum probably in all the state board also, as to which language would you choose. So whether you need to choose Hindi or any of your regional language, etc. So sometimes the child is very confused because the parents would want him to choose Sanskrit because that is a very mark fetching subject. But the child would say that no, I want to choose, let's say in my state, Odia. But then let's say the parents are not agreeing. But here a school psychologist will make the parent understand that it's the interest of the child that should prevail, and not he should not just do something just for the sake of marks. Okay, so this bridge they try to this gap, actually, they try to bridge this gap between the parents and the children and the students. Okay, and a sports psychologist, this is an upcoming field, very good. It's growing also. It's growing a lot these days. It is all those potential uh, aspirants who wants to get into sports and games. Okay, so they feel they have a very vulnerable position because they don't know if they'll be selected for the next game or not. So managing that anxiety, managing that excitement, sometimes not letting the victory of one game make you complacent, that must not go into your head. So all of this all of this balance, this is being seen by the sports psychologist, who tries to calm you down and who tries to help you focus on the game and put everything else in the periphery. Okay, so these are some of the psychology related jobs. Now we'll go to the next slide. Okay, before that, I just want to ask, whatever I told till now, is it understood to everybody? You can just write it in the message. We'll have 1 minute to see the messages. If you have any, if there's anything that you didn't understand, or if everything is understood till now. Yes, okay. Others also, please respond. Yeah, okay, okay, okay. Take care. So these are some of the upcoming areas, friends. Here, actually, in the university, specifically in India, you will not find optionals or specialization in these fields. But if possible, if any of these fields does attract you, try going for short-term courses on these, or you can go for let's say certificate courses, short-term courses. That will be of much help. Okay, so positive psychology, some of them we have also done. We have tried to cover when we conducted free sessions. We used to try to cover some. We have covered. We can also try to have some more courses from this content. So one is positive psychology, health psychology, Indian psychology, very, very important, which almost none of the people actually give attention to. But Indian psychology is a very nice field. If you can actually find any course on this, just go for it. Forensic psychology, criminal psychology, business psychology. Now, business psychology and organizational psychology, again, a very fine line difference. Organization is all about the employees and this and that. Business is how to make yourself that strong, or how to make the environment around you so good that your business prospers. Okay, so that is business psychology. Social psychology, that is common. We have already done that also in the first year. Then marketing psychology or consumer behavior, expressive arts therapy that I talked about, sports psychology, educational and school psychology, and child-parent relationship. Also, nowadays you have, nowadays you have courses like, um, you can say, uh, child psychology, and where you study a lot about how parenting style should be, how you should deal with the demands of children, what you should how, yes, couples therapy also, and how you should make the children understand in such a way that they don't feel neglected if they request it turned down. Okay, so all of this very fine line things that needs to be talked to the children. So all of this comes under the child psychology or child parent relationship. Okay, so now after having covered the scope of psychology and the areas where psychologists are needed, now we'll come to the three main topics, which is actually the focus of our session today. Okay, which specialization you should take in your second year, may it be IGNOU or may it be any other distance course or even your regular course. So the three topics that we are going to cover today is clinical psychology, counseling, and your organizational psychology. So first, let us understand the difference between clinical psychology and counseling. Now, friends, if we just look at it at the surface, basically both do not have a lot of difference, okay? They very much merge on the same lines, but again, they differ at a very crucial point. What is that? Now, what is clinical psychology deals with much more serious stuff, much more serious mental illness, and you can say it deals with a lot of extensive training in the field. Okay, it deals with people suffering from depression, schizophrenia. Why is it more serious? Because just by talking or providing therapy, sometimes you may not be able to cure the person. Sometimes you need to take the help of medical field as well. You need to refer that person to a psychiatrist as well, who has to give him some medication if the intensity of the illness is too severe. Okay. Now this is where the clinical psychology part is little different from counseling. Now coming to counseling, counseling is for such things which has not become severe but is on the borderline. Now, you can say counseling would be the first step. If that fails, and if the situation aggravates, and if the situation intensifies, and that takes the shape of a mental illness, then the person has to go to a clinical psychologist. If the person loses all control over himself on more on a physical and mental level, then he has to go to a psychiatrist. Okay, so this is how it graduates. So counseling is basically about, if you are low on motivation, if you are procrastinating, you feel you're very lazy, you just want to have your life back on track, then you can go to a counselor, you can go for counseling. If you don't know what you want in life, you are feeling so lost, there are so many options before you, but you don't know the pros and cons of it. You do not know which one, if I'll take, will actually solve the issue, will solve all the issue, all the problems for me. Then you go to a counselor, because what he'll do or what she'll do is, he or she will actually put forward the options before you, explaining the pros and cons, and it is you, the onus is on you to select the best option for yourself. Okay, so let's say you are having a behavioral issue. Let's say you have got into a bad habit. You have got into a bad habit of let's say watching a movie every night at around 12 o'clock and sleeping at 3 o'clock. And this disrupts your entire timetable, because you are somebody who has to take a metro at 6:30 in the morning, and you have to go to work, and you return at 8:30 or night in the night. And since you don't have enough sleep, you're always very irritated, and that is affecting your relationships, etc. But you still believe that you do have a control over your life, over your physical actions, over your mental strength. So you don't go to a clinical psychologist, you go to a counselor who actually helps you by giving you, they'll give you certain suggestions, like, okay, fine, if you are so much interested to watch movies, you travel in a metro, right? Why can't you just watch the movie in two parts? If going to your workplace takes 1 hour, you can watch half of the movie while going and half of the movie while returning, and just about half an hour, whatever is left, you can watch just before you sleep. So instead of sleeping at 3, you can probably sleep at 12:30, and slowly you can reduce this time, right? So this a counselor can do. Okay, so basically it is about helping you to be more aware about yourself, more problem solving, facilitating some cognitive or behavioral change in you, educating you about various options that you have, helping you to get self-actualized, or enhancing your emotional health, making you better at relationships, making you value relationships, value the things that you have. Okay, helping you to get rid of some addiction or something, helping you come out of substance abuse, etc. All of this, all of not so serious things will all come under counseling. Now next, okay, is this understood by everybody? Just write it in the message. Meanwhile, I'll also drink water. Yes. Okay, I'm just, I hope I'm able to convey this very clearly, because this is going to be very helpful for you when you're going to choose your optional, right? So, yes. Swapnilji was writing something? Swapnilji, were you writing something?
No, no.
Oh,
I was just
okay,
checking if anyone has any question.
okay, 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 take care. So, take care. Okay. So now next, I think counseling is understood by everybody. Now let me just give you a quick view of where you can have counselors. So friends, you can have counselors in NGOs. You can have counselors in medical settings, in hospitals, in primary care centers, in tertiary centers as well. Sometimes counselors are there for AIDS awareness, for awareness on on let's say malnutrition. Sometimes they are there for in rehab homes, okay, for alcohol, for substance abuse, etc. Also, you can have counselors in uh, sometimes you can have also in clinical settings where they have a checking system. So like suppose a person has come to you, and you are a psychologist, but many a times you will feel that the issue that he is facing can be very well solved by a counselor, so he need not come to me. So what you can do is you can have a counselor with you, who first, the person first goes to the counselor at your own clinic only, and then the counselor listens to him. And then after that, if the counselor feels, okay, these things that he is talking actually are more severe and needs deeper intervention, then the counselor will refer to the psychologist. Okay, so they can act as a very good, you can say, you can say, they can cross check. Okay, they can cross check, or they can filter at the very first instance as to what problems or what issues the person is facing, and where he should first go. Let's say the person does not know where he has to go, and he comes to the counselor and tells, I can't sleep, and I remain awake for 22 hours, 21 hours, and I'm always thinking about the past. Sometimes I want to harm myself. Now look at here, I've cut my hand so many times, and I have these, scratches and this, that. Now the person knows that, okay, if it is a lot about self-harming behavior, then probably the psychologist can help, but it also needs medication. Okay, so he or she can know where exactly to refer. So all these places, counseling can help, and the role of counselor is important. So friends, if you want to get involved in these activities or in these areas, okay, so you can take counseling as your optional, because then you will be touching on so many different topics, but you will not study mental illness in that great detail. You will study mental illness to the extent where you can know the distinction between mental illnesses. So let me give you an example. Let's say somebody comes and tells you that there is a person, and he's always hallucinating, and he's always thinking that people are talking behind his back and this, that. So you as a counselor should know this much, that if these are the symptoms that is being told before you, this links to paranoid schizophrenia. Okay. Suppose you ask how much duration has this been, and what are the other things that. So you should be at least be in a position to make the finer distinctions. Okay, so this much you need to know, but you don't need to be very very you don't need to have a very deep and very very you can say, you don't need to have a very deeper understanding of it. Okay, as in how many days, what all, etc., and where to go, what has he done, this testing to done, that testing to be done, that you need not know. If you want to, okay, now how is the life of a counselor different from the life of a clinical psychologist? Counselors, again, this is on a very personal observation I'm saying, could be different again, could be different these days. I'm talking about something which I had seen since past 5-6 years. See, counselors still have a little bit of positivity that they receive from the client, because the client themselves are still in a better emotional and mental condition to be able to tell their issues to the counselor. Okay. But sometimes to a psychologist, a client comes to a psychologist when he has exhausted all his options. Okay. Sometimes he might be brought by a caregiver, a parent, or a relative. It's very tough because the client himself is not telling you anything. If your therapy continues for 10 sessions, it is very much possible for a clinical psychologist to have the first 3 to 4 sessions in complete silence, only because the parent has forced the teenage boy, let's say, to go and attend. He'll come to your clinic, but he'll just sit. He will not talk to you because he's too frustrated with his parents for asking him to come to you, and he's absolutely angry with you that why did you even take his case. So he'll not talk to you for 3 to 4 sessions. And even you, whether he talks or not, you have to attend to him with the same focus that you should have attended to if he was talking. Okay. So clinical psychology, I would say, would be a very serious, would be dealing with a lot of serious issues, and you need to have a lot of patience, because the person who comes to you is almost nearing frustration. Okay, almost. Matlab, he's no more interested in anything now. He just thinks that if it works, if you can do something that works for me, it's great. If not, also great. He has lost all hope. But when counseling, the person is still in the hope that I can take responsibility of my actions. Okay, so if you are thinking to work with motivation, or let's say, if anybody is aware of the difference between existential theory and humanistic theory, that is the basic difference between clinical and counseling. Existential mein, you just need to survive. It talks about surviving. Humanistic talks about surviving plus growth. Similarly, clinical mein, all those people who come to you right now at that time, they just want to live. Please do something that I can live. These will be their words. मुझे नहीं पता मैम आप क्या करोगे, आप कुछ ऐसा करो कि मैं बस जिंदा रहूं, right? Because I have my parents to look after now. And जो counseling में जो आएंगे, they'll be like, see, I have everything, but sometimes I feel so empty. So they are in a position, they know what they want. Only that they are not very specific about the goal, but they know that, okay, this is what I wanted. If this I get, I'll be a little happy. Okay. So this is what, okay. So if you are working, or if you're trying to work with if you're wanting to work in these areas, then counseling is good for you, and you should go for counseling psychology. Now we'll go to the next slide. Yes. Now, clinical psychology, I have already spoken about it a lot. Let us just go through. So let's say about if your client has any cognitive impairment, behavioral problems, emotional issues. Friends, here, whatever we are talking, clinical psychologist role comes when issues have become so intense that they have had to hamper your day-to-day life, your hygiene, your emotional stability, your mental stability, and your relationships. Okay. So when we say cognitive impairment, it just does not mean that you disagreeing with what your sister is saying or what your brother is saying. No, that is quite normal. but cognitive impairment to a situation that you can't sleep, because whenever you close your eyes and you are about to drift off into sleep, or whenever you're closing your eyes, you are thinking कि just मेरे पीछे कोई खड़ा है who's going to pour something on my face and maybe I'll die. If somebody is giving you tea, you would think that probably somebody has put poison in this. You're getting it. Your judgment is so much distorted that it is affecting your daily life. Okay. So when I say cognitive impairment, behavioral problems, it is to the max level that you can think of. Okay. Then emotional issues, trauma here would be like, let's say PTSD. Okay. So let's say if you have just suffered some loss in your family and you are not able to get over it. Okay. Let's say you just talk to some very close relative tonight, and next morning you find out that the person is no more, and you're just not able to get over it. Okay. Especially I think a lot of this happened in Corona also. So these trauma, then some dysfunction, some maladjustments. Okay. Sometimes the person becomes, the disorder becomes so intense that whatever the person says, we are not able to listen to it clearly. Okay. He will mix up half of the word from this sentence, half the words from that sentence. That phenomena is known as speech salad. So basically it becomes like a salad of various words and sounds and speech. Okay. So all of this, when it gets too intense, then a person should come to a clinical psychology. And if you think you have, see friends, what is the most being a student of clinical psychology myself, I would say the toughest part is to feel the pain, to be associated, to be attached and feel the pain, and at the same time to suggest option being dissociated. Okay. So it is a very tough thing which only comes through practice. To feel the pain, you have to get attached to what the person is saying, but at the same time you don't have to let the problem or the pain get onto you. Okay. You have to remain that much detached also. So if you think you have the flair of being able to face people with such intense difficulties, if you think you have that patience, I would also say if you have that courage, because sometimes people will come and tell you such things which for a human mind it is unthinkable. Okay. If somebody comes and tells you things like, it was my mother and father who had sold me off to somebody. Now, see, it is very disturbing for you to even think in these terms. But these things happen, and people do face this, and these leave a lifelong trauma in their lives. Okay, so if you are that patient, that courageous, if you are that I would say that you have that altruistic bent of mind to really help a person come out of the trauma, because see, you are also handling a very, very important responsibility here. The first responsibility in a therapy session or in a counseling session or in a clinical session uh, is to let the client leave the room, leave your counseling session or leave your clinical room in the same condition as he had come. Okay. So if he comes to you and you just facilitate him to tell you more and more about his life, childhood experience, traumatic experiences, and if you cannot give him a way to deal with that, then you have actually stirred a very wrong point. आपने दुखते रग पे हाथ रख दिया, but आपको अब ये पता नहीं चल पा रहा है कि आप इसको ठीक कैसे करोगे. It's exactly like a spirit call. You call the spirit, but you don't know how to make it go back. So it's a very, very responsible job. Okay. So if again, the best part of it is, since it has got a lot of responsibility, it also has got a lot of perks. What are the perks? A person who has done his master's or a person who has studied clinical psychology can move into any field of psychology, can move into sports psychology, can move into forensic, can move into Indian psychology, educational, but the reverse is not true. So again, if you are having a lot of, if you are having, say, a lot of uh, works, also you have a lot of responsibilities. So I hope this is clear. Uh, if you are really interested, because I would say a person who is a clinical psychologist or who is dealing with clients, the person has to have a very, very altruistic bent of mind and would always want the person to become a better version of himself when the counseling sessions end, when the entire therapy ends. Okay, so this is what it is. If you are really interested, I have told you what are the things you will encounter. If you are comfortable with these, then you must go for clinical psychology. So if this is clear with everybody, please write in the message so that I know that this is understood. Yes, counseling is broad concept than clinical, but then it is clinical will have a lot more in-depth things than counseling. Yes. Other people who have joined, please you also mention whether you have understood or not. Any all those new Maria Qureshi or Noor, have you people understood? Since I'm seeing you people for the first time.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, okay. Okay. So, okay. Now, Swapnil ji will go to the next slide then. Okay, so last, my friends, we have industrial and organizational psychology, as I have told you. So, यहाँ पे the main aim of the psychologist is to conduct assessments and make the lives of employees better. Now, let me give you an example. Suppose the lighting of the room is such, the color of the walls are such, is actually making the place very gloomy, very sad. Then that is going to affect performance. Okay. Yes, we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that. If there's any doubts with what are the career options, we'll discuss that. Let me just complete with this. We'll start. Okay. So, where was I? Yes. So, suppose the color of the room and the lighting and the ventilation, those things affect a lot. Okay. You can also go through some studies like Hawthorne studies and having breaks while working. Now, many people think that even we as employees or we as, let's say, students in student life, or we as normal general workers also at any point in time, we think यार एक ही बार में 2-3 घंटे का काम कर लेंगे और फिर ब्रेक लेंगे. Now, a psychologist would not think like that. A psychologist would think that divide your work into smaller parts. Like let's say आपके पास 3 घंटे का काम है. So what you do is you divide that work into 9 parts and then you take a break. So इससे क्या होगा कि when you have completed the first part, then you feel a sense of achievement, and after that when you have a break, you understand that that break is something that I deserve. Why do I deserve? Because I'm capable. So if I'm capable of the first part, I will do the next part with more energy. Okay, so that is how you will complete and you will give your best in all the parts. But if you start on a log, or if you start on a lump sum of work, probably your energy level, your motivation level, your interest level will drop off after an hour or an hour and a half. Okay, so this is where psychologist would help you. Then personal recruitment. Okay, suppose we want a person who actually, suppose for a job we want a person who talks less. Okay, we would not want a person who talks more. So it's very easy to know if we can give him, or if we can ask him to appear for the introversion and extroversion test. Okay, sometimes for job analysis also this is helpful. This psychologists are helpful. Okay, also if we want to change something in the organization, you will see there are some very good um, cultures, office cultures. I remember one of my friend who used to work in a company called Citrix in Bangalore. He had given a very good example of work culture. He told in Citrix, you can take, if there is something in the company, and suppose there is a, let's say there's a very nice couch, okay, there's a very nice sofa or couch, and suppose you feel कि मैं जब भी इस पे बैठता हूँ, whenever I sit on this and I work, I really work nice, I really work well for longer hours. So you just have to tell at your company that I'm taking this home, and whenever you are done with the company, you want to change or something, you return the sofa and you go. Okay, so very good work culture, because it helps you identify your interest in the company, what you want, what you like, and you adapt that, or you actually, they'll match you with that, right? So these are the works of a psychologist at the industrial and organizational level. So if you feel that you do not want to work with people talking about their mental issues, emotional issues, and you don't want people, you don't want to deal with people who are into substance abuse or lack of motivation, but you want to work in organization where uh, you are always very updated about the latest things, and you want to help employees, you want to help the organization grow. If that is your interest, then you must go for industrial and organizational psychology. Okay, so this was all, friends. This was all about today's session. So I hope this was clear. If there's still any questions, we can have them in the message box. There's somebody, Shrikar writes, I'm a BSc non-psychology. Can I become a clinical psychologist? Yes, you can become a clinical psychologist. All you have to do is you have to register for MA or MSc psychology. Okay. Now, again, friends, I would make it a very important point here. Please don't go to any forums and ask, okay, which college is better, which university is better. Please understand every college, every university's admission process, admission guidelines, criteria. They keep changing, okay? And nobody would be in a position, or nobody would be in a let's say will have so much time to guide you for the right college or right university. So what you can do is, you, whenever you have free time, you yourself look. Okay, yes, Kangan will come to you. So you yourself look for those opportunities, for those courses yourself, because they keep changing because of the corona rules or etc. So please, you look up yourself, call their office, and don't rely on other people. Because why I will tell you, this is from one of my own personal experiences as well. One of one of my friend, she wanted to do psychology from Delhi University, but somebody told her that go for applied psychology in South Campus. She didn't want to go for it. She actually wanted to go for the normal psychology, but she applied only for South Campus and she didn't get through also. But she was very upset when she knew that psychology, general psychology, is available at one branch of DU, that is not. So don't rely on what others will say, just go for it. Coming to your question, Shrikar, yes, you can definitely become a clinical psychologist. What you have to do is look for regular courses or for distance courses where you can do MSc or MA in psychology with clinical psychology as your optional in the second year. After that, if MPhil is not scraped out by then, you can go for MPhil. If it has been scraped out, you can directly do a PhD taking a topic from clinical psychology. I hope that answers your question. Yes. Kangan wants to ask something, Swapnilji, if we can unmute her.
Kangan, can you please unmute yourself?
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
Okay, ma'am, I have a question. Actually, I passed my 12th this year and I'm into graduation first year and I want to pursue psychology as my career. So I have been offered BLA, like Bachelor's in Liberal Arts, which have been introduced last year according to the new education policy, in which I can take up psychology as my specialization in second year. So should I go for that, or should I look for BA in psychology or BA honors in psychology in other colleges or universities?
See, BA honors in psychology would be much helpful for you. The reason is you will be able to study almost all the subfields of psychology, at least for 3 months. You will have a topic under health psychology, you will have a topic under positive psychology. But in your course that you have enrolled in, I think you just have it as one of the optional in the 3 years, right? I think that is how it will be. So if you are very much sure that you want to take up psychology, it is my not only my suggestion but also my request that please go for BA psychology, and BA psychology with whatever honors you want to take. I mean, psychology would be the honors, but in some university they again have a particular subfield that you can take as honors. So BA psychology would be best for you if you want to pursue psychology as an option.
Like in BLA, I shall be offered specialization in the second year. Like for the second and third year, I can specialize in psychology. So
What is my question is, what are you interested in? Do you want to take up psychology as a career full time, or do you want to integrate that with something?
no, actually, the college in which I got BLA is a very prominent and a very good college, and the college in which I got BA psychology is not a great one. So the main thing comes there.
Okay. So see, first of all, you decide if you want to take up psychology full time, then a BA psychology course is the best. Okay. But if you think that okay, studying psychology for 2 years is okay for you, then you can continue with where you are doing, not an issue.
Okay, so like it won't be an issue in my career, like in my
No,
masters and everything.
no, it will not be an issue.
Okay, okay, fine.
Most welcome. Anybody else who wanted to ask something?
Yes, I am Atya Faridi, ma'am. May I ask a question?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
please.
Yes, मैम मुझे ये पूछना था कि मैं इग्नू से मैंने एडमिशन लिया है एमए में साइकोलॉजी को सब्जेक्ट के लिए, और मैं फर्स्ट ईयर में हूँ, और सेकेंड ईयर के लिए मैंने क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजी ऑप्ट किया है स्पेशलाइजेशन कोर्स।
ठीक है।
हाँ, तो मेरा सवाल ये है कि अगर मैं एमए कर लेती हूँ, आई होप के ऐसा हो, तो उसके बाद मेरे लिए जॉब की क्या ऑप्शन है? एट द सेम टाइम आई एम अ मदर एंड अ वाइफ आल्सो, एंड आई एम होम मेकर। तो ये दोनों को हम बैलेंस करते हुए अगर हम जॉब करना चाहें तो मेरे लिए क्या ऑप्शन होगा कि मतलब दोनों को हम मैनेज कर ले, कम वक्त में हम कोई ऐसा जॉब हमको साइकोलॉजी में मिल जाए, आफ्टर एमए कोई जॉब का ऑप्शन है, स्कोप है?
हाँ, बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस हैं। अगर आप बहुत सारे जॉब एप्स भी देखें, जैसे टाइम शॉप्स हो गया, अब तो एक अपना ऐप भी आ रहा है, वो भी, उसमें भी आई वाज जस्ट लुकिंग फॉर सम जॉब ऑप्शंस फॉर सम ऑफ माय स्टूडेंट्स, तो उसमें भी बहुत अच्छा है। यू कैन बी अ काउंसलर। अगर आप अपने ही शहर में किसी साइकेट्रिस्ट के अंडर प्रैक्टिस करना चाहते हैं एज एन इंटर्न और एज अ ट्रेनी, वो भी बहुत अच्छा ऑप्शन है। आप वो कर सकते हैं फॉर 1 or 2 years, and अगर if you still have time, or if you can pursue your PhD, after your PhD आप अपना खुद का क्लिनिक भी खोल सकते हैं, so it's quite good. आप कर सकते हैं। You just need to see that where you want to take your because इसके लिए clinical psychology के बाद you have to have extensive training, okay, वो बहुत जरूरी है। तो वो आप कहाँ से करेंगे, वो आप डिसाइड करके रखिए।
तो मैम मुझे ये भी पूछना था कि इग्नू से मैं एक स्टूडेंट हूँ मैम, तो इग्नू एक तो सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी है, तो उसका तो वैलिडिटी है उसके डिग्रीज का, तो उसमें भी स्कोप वैसे ही रहते हैं जैसे जनरल किसी अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटी की डिग्री होती है?
हाँ, इग्नू के डिग्री का बिल्कुल वैल्यू है। बहुत लोग जो बोलते हैं कि बिकॉज वो डिस्टेंस है और उसका वैल्यू नहीं है, वो बात बिल्कुल भी नहीं है, उसकी वैल्यू है। और अगर आप चाहो तो आप जैसे अभी स्वप्निल जी ऑल्सो मेंशन अ गुड थिंग कि आप एजुकेशनल फील्ड में भी जा सकते हैं। अगर आप पढ़ाना चाहते हैं क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजी, आप वो कर सकते हैं। अगर आप ट्रेनिंग करना चाहते हैं, अगर आप साइकोथेरेपी भी करना चाहते हैं, अगर आप कोई रिसर्च में हेल्प करना चाहते हैं, या फिर आप खुद से एक रिसर्च कंडक्ट करना चाहते हैं, या फिर लेट्स से आप असेसमेंट करना चाहते हैं, ये सब आप कर सकते हैं। ऑल ऑफ दिस आप कर सकते हैं।
मैम एक क्वेश्चन मेरे और है, मुझे ये पूछना था कि आज आपने ये इतनी तरह की साइकोलॉजी का जिक्र किया, जैसे क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजी, काउंसलिंग साइकोलॉजी, इंडस्ट्रियल साइकोलॉजी, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा, उसमें न्यूरोलॉजिकल साइकोलॉजी कहीं पे है, जो ब्रेन के न्यूरो सर्जन या न्यूरो साइकोलॉजिस्ट होते हैं, तो ये भी तो एक डोमेन है ना साइकोलॉजी का मैम?
हाँ, बट मैंने ये तीनों सबसे कॉमन लिया। आपको न्यूरोसाइकोलॉजी एज एन ऑप्शनल या स्पेशलाइजेशन शायद एक या दो कहीं अगर मिले पूरे इंडिया में, बट ये तीन जो है ये सबसे ज्यादा कॉमन है। आप इंडिया में अगर लेट्स से 90 कॉलेजेस में यही ऑप्शनल है, तो ये कहीं कोई डाउट होगा किसी का, इसीलिए मैंने बस इन तीनों का ही क्लियर किया। कोई रीजन है और कोई नहीं।
थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
ओके, थैंक यू
Ma'am, may I ask you a question? This is Mahashweta, ma'am. Same question I have for counseling psychology. The previous candidate who asked the counseling psychology, what are the other options? Like after completing that, can you just brief little bit?
Yes, of course. You can again, जैसे मैंने कहा, you can work in medical settings, you can work in NGOs, but इसके लिए ना you have to keep an eye on the openings, okay? कहाँ कहाँ opening है? Counselors के लिए तो महश्वेता जी, the best thing now is that you can also be a tele-counselor. So you don't even have to leave your home. You don't have to relocate anywhere. They will have people who have issues and they'll directly, they'll direct that to you. So you can also, at the comfort of your home, you can talk to them and you can resolve the issues. You can also work in schools. You can work in I don't know where you cannot work, because nowadays everywhere you see you can have a counselor, because mental health is given so much importance now. So wherever you think, you just have to keep an eye on basically these openings that come through. Also, I would suggest after the class today, आप बस सब लोग अपने एक एक्सपीरियंस के लिए आप 2 या 3 जॉब रिलेटेड जो भी पोर्टल्स हैं या जॉब रिलेटेड जो एप्स हैं, लाइक टाइम्स जॉब, monster.com, and also we have something known as Indeed, I think Indeed.com, I think शायद, just register your resume, okay, and you will see you will get so many options to work, okay. Earlier I didn't know that even banks needed counselors, so nowadays I'm seeing that as a new thing, that banks also have counselors. Even किसी military इसमें भी they have counselors, okay. So it's a very good thing. Just keep your eyes open and you can be an academic counselor as well, you can be a career counselor as well. So many things are there. Just keep your eyes open and you'll find the jobs.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, could you share about applied psychology?
Yes, applied psychology is basically जितने भी चीजों के बारे में हमने बात किया, it will all be given to you in short type courses. So clinical psychology में basically you will be specializing in clinical psychology. You will be reading that for entire 1 year and different topics of that. But in applied में you will read, let's say, health psychology for 3 months. Then probably we'll have a short course on Indian and Vedic psychology again for 2 months, or let's say 3 months. So is tarah ke you will have these kind of chote courses, but not for elongated period of time like 1 year, 2 months, 3 months, 2.5 months, 1.5 months, like this. Okay, so that is the only difference, nothing much. Also some courses have an internship attached to it. तो मतलब कि अगर आपको उन्होंने health psychology के बारे में पढ़ाया, then they'll send you, they'll ask you to do 15 days internship. Basically MET University follows this approach, which is quite good, I must say. लेकिन बहुत बार बच्चे क्या करते हैं, वो जाते नहीं है internship के लिए, they just get the certificate. उसका reason भी मैं बता देती हूँ. They keep the internship during the vacation time. तो समर वेकेशन में रखते हैं, विंटर वेकेशन में रखते हैं, तो लोग कहीं ना कहीं प्लान कर लिए होते हैं जाने के लिए, तो दे डोंट गो एंड एक्चुअली अटेंड द इंटर्नशिप. लेकिन ये करना बहुत जरूरी है. जैसे आई विल टेल यू अबाउट माय ओन सेल्फ. इवन आफ्टर आई हैव लेफ्ट द फील्ड फॉर्मली, abhi when I am into a service, a different service, I keep doing internships from various psychiatrists, and I go and talk to them. Sometimes I am talking to them about sessions and everything. So it just keeps you updated, okay. तो आप ये कर सकते. Applied में क्या होगा, they will teach you that course for 1.5 months, and the remaining 15 days जो है, they will ask you that you go and visit let's say Apollo Hospital. I'm just giving a reference. आप Apollo Hospital में जाके अभी जो कोरोना में जो डॉक्टर्स engaged थे for last 1 year, आप जाके उनसे बात करो, उनसे पूछो कि जब काउंसलिंग करना होगा किसी person who's in quarantine or who has lost a loved one, तो किस तरह उनको क्या चीज address करना चाहिए, क्या problems होती है उनको. So these are the things that they'll be talking in applied. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
तो ठीक है friends, तो I think almost all the queries. हाँ, any more doubt? Yes.
Ma'am, I have 2 queries.
हाँ, please tell me.
The first query is, ma'am, I wanted to ask, after doing MA in clinical psychology, is it compulsory for me to take RCI registration under clinical psychologist to open up a clinic?
Yes, to open up a clinic, you need RCI registration or you need a PhD. Because I'm not talking you need an MPhil, because MPhil is scraped off, so I am not able to give you a very concrete answer on that. But lekin bahut log, even after doing MPhil also, they open their clinic. But let's say you have done, abhi, look at the irony, NIMHANS is the highest body, or you can say highest respected body of clinical psychology and psychiatry, but that does not have, the course is not actually RCI affiliated. But iska matlab ye nahi, the person who has done a course from NIMHANS cannot open a clinic. You can, but then you need, either you need an RCI license, or you do your PhD and you can do it. But you need to have a lot of technical expertise. Okay, that places like NIMHANS, places like IBHAS, places like CIP, they provide a lot of this extended technical, extended technical and very hands-on training. Okay, so this is what would be useful if you are following clinical psychology. Yes.
Ma'am, I have also seen people, like, even after they do, after they have completed their MA in clinical psychology, they, they, after some years of experience, they do open up their clinic. So are they wrong, or are they, what is it?
Wrong. See, as I told you in the beginning, it is all about an altruistic bent of mind. The point is that nowhere, even in RCI, nowhere it is written that you need to have a license to open a clinic for clinical psychology. They are talking that you need this license for rehabilitation related cases. That means children with special needs, visual impairment, auditory impairment, mental retardation. इन लोगों के लिए you need to have an RCI. कहीं पे भी it is not mentioned that you need to have it for counseling and clinical. आप समझ रहे हैं ना?
Okay,
But,
got it, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
And ma'am, my second question was, it is related to MPhil only. I know it's going to get cracked, but I'm just saying, since it's not, and supposedly if I complete my MA and then still I'm able to do it, उसके बाद अगर ये MPhil करने के बाद अगर वो scrap हो गया, तो ma'am, is it will it not be valid, the whole degree?
Oh, they're actually silent on this. That's the whole issue, because many places, they have not actually, like there is this college called SCB Medical College in Cuttack in Odisha. So they have a very nice course on MPhil clinical psychology. They have opened up their admissions for this year. I think the last date was also in October 2021. But even they are not able to say if it will be scrapped off, whether this degree will hold value or not. But officially it will hold or not. Essay though it will hold because you have done a course and you have completed it. So even in the policy they are silent, and even the organizations who are running it, they also have no clear and concrete answer to this.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, this is Kangan.
Kangan, yes.
Ma'am, I told you about the BL and BA course. Is there something that we should choose our college over our course, or we should choose our course over our college? Is there something like that?
Nahi, see, this is a very, I would say, I have seen children who have, I'll give you my example. See, I am from Odisha, and as you know, there are no such nationally recognized colleges or universities in Odisha. But after a level, let's say after 12th, it's you who has to do your own studies, okay? Because your teachers, or you will never have, just like in school, you will never have in college all the teachers of all the topics of all the subjects teaching you well. There might be one or two very good teachers, but your study you have to do on your own, because they'll teach you in a very limited time frame. They'll tell you exactly what's written in book for schizophrenia, but it is your responsibility to look for a let's say mental hospital, or to look for a psychiatrist who can actually tell you the real facts or real things that happens to a patient who suffers from schizophrenia, right? So it is not about the college, it is about your own effort that you would give. Okay. This is for everybody. So agar aisa nahi hota to you would see that see, look at APJ Abdul Kalam. He started studying very late, whereas we started studying at age 5 or 6. He started studying very late. You also have other people who are from not very privileged backgrounds, but it is their own interest that has driven them forward, right? So if you feel that yes, I can take up responsibility and I can do more research and more study on this, then the college really does not matter. Right.
No, like the brand name of the college or something like that.
See, friend, brand name actually has got nothing to do, with your selection in a Viva. Okay. Because rather, if you are from a good brand college and you're not able to answer, they'll humiliate you more. This I can tell you, since I am myself a civil service aspirant. I was a civil service aspirant, and now I am into Odisha Civil Services. So अगर they will ask you आप किस school से हैं, sorry, किस college से हैं, and if you just tell them some very hi-fi college, let's say the best college of your state, and they'll tell और आपको ये भी नहीं पता. You know, this is how it happens. So basically your answers matter. आप कहाँ से हैं, that matters the least, I would say, especially when you are climbing up. Okay, when you are climbing up into let's say when you are climbing up into +3, when you're climbing up to MPhil, PhD, your that's a very good term in psychology, that the source does not matter, the last destination matters. Okay, I would tell you about myself. I was a very bad student in maths, but see, today I have gone into a position where people never ask me how much you got in maths. Okay, so basically the source does not matter, the last destination matters. If you have really done well in your studies, they would never worry about from which institute you are, from which college you are. Nobody does that.
Yeah, like actually I attended the classes of both the colleges. So the college which offers me BLA, so I found the faculty quite good, and like the environment of the students and everything. The exposure was quite good. And the college in which I attended the class for BA psychology, I did not get the exposure. Like I did not feel that I shall be getting the exposure with the teachers, with the students and everything. So I was a bit confused.
Problem. Continue where you are studying. That's not an issue, because you need to
No,
feel.
actually I took admission in both the colleges. I just need to withdraw one.
Oh, awesome. So just go, just go where your heart says, because wherever you will feel happy, you are bound to excel there. Wherever you will feel unhappy and you'll always feel कि काश मैंने वो किया होता, then that thing will never work. That thing never works in the long run.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Most. So, Swapnilji, I don't know if we have any other questions, but yes, if Swapnilji, do we have any announcements on the courses, any further courses we are taking up?
So, yes, sure, we can announce a couple of things. So we are planning to conduct some of the courses in future. One of the courses Indian psychology, which ma'am already explained. So we are also coming up with a lot of macro courses. So if you are not a part of any of the Psychomagic groups, so I would insist you to please join those groups. Stay connected to us via social media, where we regularly provide the updates around courses that we are coming up with.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and one more thing. So just to wanted to cover a few points. So one is related to artificial intelligence. So it is upcoming field. Means you must have heard that there is a robotics that is going on. Lots of research that is happening around robotics, wherein artificial intelligence is playing a crucial role. How robots will mimic human actions. So there is also a lot of scope when it comes to psychologists, because they are the ones who are being considered as a behaviorist. They are being considered as who understand and has a deeper knowledge about human psyche, how they behave in certain situations, how they will react, how they will, and how a robot can mimic that behavior. So that is one of the interesting field that is coming up. Not in India, but again in near future, you will certainly see that kind of those kinds of opportunities. Okay.
Yes. So, okay, we'll conclude then, Swapnil. I think we're
Yes.
done. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Romana-ji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.